Good afternoon, everyone. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Xue Wenjuan. I am from the TCM department of the First Affiliated Hospital of Fujian Medical University. I will give lessons of Yin-Yang theory for you. This is my email. If you have any question, you can email me and welcome to discuss with me about the knowledge of TCM. As we know, TCM is a philosophy, but do you know what's the philosophy of TCM exactly? Yes, the philosophic basis of TCM includes Qi theory, Yin-Yang theory, and five elements theory. Maybe sometimes it is hard to understand, so today I will guide you through in the Yin-Yang theory step by step. Have you seen this phenomenon before? In winter, the weather is cold. Some people wear coats, but some people wear short sleeves. Why? And why some people is afraid of cold, but someone is afraid of hot at the same temperature? By studying this lesson, you will know how to explain. Did you drink this beverage? Did you drink this beverage? We call it Wang Lao Ji, that is a herbal tea. Its slogan is, if you are afraid of getting angry, you will drink Wang Lao Ji. But why do you drink the herbal tea when you are angry? To solve the problem, we have to start from the Yin-Yang theory. And to begin with, let's look at the teaching content. Please understand the implication and the property of Yin-Yang. Familiar with the relationships between Yin and Yang. The most important is to master the application of Yin-Yang theory in TCM. Yin-Yang belongs to Asian Chinese philosophy. It was applied to explain the phenomena in nature. Later, doctors applied the doctrines to physiological functions, pathological changes of the human body, diagnosis and treatment. It is important confluence of theory in TCM. And please look at the video together. Okay, to start from the video, let's study the Yin-Yang theory together. The part 1, the implication of Yin-Yang. Now let's learn the implication together. Initially, Yin and Yang refer to the night and bodies of the sunlight. It means that anything exposed to the sun belongs to Yang, and that which is not unexposed to the sun belongs to Yin. The place being exposed to the sun is warm by nature, so it belongs to Yang. The place not having exposure to the sun is cooler by nature, so it belongs to Yin. Such the south side of a mountain belongs to Yang, and the north side of the mountain belongs to Yin. And an angle of view. This is the Chinese writing of Yin Yang. The Chinese Yin and Yang are written like this way. Furthermore, through the process of long-term observation, practice, and investigation of these original characteristics of Yin Yang, people have come to realize that Yin and Yang exist in all things. Their interaction promotes the occurrence, development, and transformation of all things. Consequently, Yin and Yang are used to explain all kinds of phenomena in nature and lay the foundation for development of Yin-Yang theory. Yin and Yang symbolize two opposite and related sides of things. The Taiji diagram can illustrate the implication. For example, the outer circle represents everything, while the black and white shapes, the black and the white shapes within the circle represents the interaction of two energies called Yin and Yang. Yin refers to black, yes, Yang refers to the white, which cause everything to happen. They are not completely black or white, just as things in life are not completely black or white, and they cannot exist without each other. While Yin would be dark, passive, cold, contracting, downward, and weak. Yang would be bright, active, alert, hot, strong, and expanding. Yin to Yang and Yang to Yin, causing everything to happen. Generally speaking, anything that is active, ascending, upper, bright, progressive, warm, hyperfunctional aspect is Yang. While anything that is static, descending, lower, dim, degenerate called hypofunctioning. From the above, we know, yes, that exposed to the sun belongs to yang, and unexposed to the sun belongs to yin. And dry belongs to yang, wet belongs to yin. Hot belongs to yang, icy belongs to yin. Brightless belongs to yang, darkless belongs to yin. And the fire belongs to yang, water belongs to yin. Progressive belongs to yang, degenerate belongs to yin, active yang, static yin, yes. Dirty belongs to yang, clear belongs to yin. Sorry, clear belongs to yang, dirty belongs to yin. Oh, sorry. Next, close belongs to yin, open belongs to yang, night belongs to yang, thick belongs to yin, up yang, down yin, outside yang, inside yin. Float belongs to yang, sink belongs to yin, ascend belongs to yang, descend belongs to yin. See, right? And refer to the next. Man belongs to yang, woman, yeah, yin. Next. In terms of nature, we can see the space belongs to the nature. In terms of the nature, heaven, up, outside, south belongs to yang, earth, down, inside, north belongs to yin. In terms of the time, day belongs to yang, night belongs to yin. In terms of the season, spring, summer belongs to yang, but autumn, winter belongs to yin. In terms of temperature, warm belongs to yang, cold belongs to yin. In terms of humidity, dry belongs to yang, wet belongs to yin. In terms of the weight, light belongs to yang, heavy belongs to yin. And in terms of the brightness, bright belongs to yang, dark belongs to yin. In terms of the state of motion, active, ascending, exciting, hyperfunctioning belongs to yang, while static, descending, depressing, hyperfunctioning belongs to yin. This is the Taiji diagram. Yeah, we can now have in terms of the nature. Night, bright, sun belong to yang, dark or moon belong to yin, strong, assertive, responsive, nurturing belong to yin, but strong, assertive belong to yang, dry, hot or fire belong to yang, damp, cool, water, yin, positive charge belong to yang, negative charge belong to yin, heaven belong to yang, earth belong to yin, yes. So yin and yang are the summarization of attributes of two opposite aspects of correlative themes of phenomenon in nature. Next, we will learn part 2 about the property of yin and yang. Yin includes the 4 aspects. First, universality and abstractness. Second, relevance. Third, relativity. Fourth, separability. The first property of yin-yang is universality. Yin and yang symbolize two opposite and related sides and are not confined to a specific theme. It was applied to promote the origination, development, and transformation of themes. It's abstract. The second property is relevance. It means that an aspect of theme must be relevant to the other aspect. It is wrong to divide a thing by yin and yang without a given condition. The given condition means that in a special setting, in a special socialization, for example, man belongs to yang, woman belongs to yin, water belongs to yin, but fire belongs to yang. But compared with the water, it was wrong to say that man belongs to yang, because you can't equate gender with temperature. Is it right? Yeah, you can't equate gender with the temperature. So it is wrong to say that man belongs to yang, water belongs to yin. It is wrong. Yeah. The third property is relativity. Yin or yang is attributed to a thing, which is by no means absolute, but relative. The relativity of yin and yang embodies inter-transformation of yin and yang under a given condition. Yin may transform into yang, and yang may transform into yin. For example, compared to the 10 degrees Celsius water, the 60 degrees Celsius water belongs to yang, but compared with the 100 degrees Celsius water, it belongs to yin. Is it right? The 60 degrees Celsius water belongs to yin. Did I make it clear? The 60 degrees Celsius water can transform into 100 degrees Celsius water after cooking. Is it right? So yin may transform into yang, and yang may transform into yin under a given condition. The fourth property is separability. Within yin or yang, there still might be further subdivided into yin and yang. For example, day belongs to yang, and night belongs to yin. And morning is yang within yang, and afternoon is yin within yang. In the night, the early night is yin within yin. The late night is yang within yin, because the late night is closer to dawn. The after midnight is close to dawn. Did I make clear? The before midnight is far to dawn. So it belongs to the early night is in within in. Continue. The part 3, we will go to next topic about the relationships between yin and yang. It's also the basic content of yin-yang theory. This part is important, so please master it. The relationships between yin and yang can be summarized by using the 4 aspects of opposition, interdependence, relative waxing and waning, and transformation. First, the opposition and the restriction between yin and yang means that yin and yang, opposite in nature, struggle against, restrain and repair each other. It meant that all things or phenomena in nature have 2 opposite aspects, yin and yang, such as upper and lower, left and right, heaven and earth, active and still, entering and exciting, ascending and descending, cold and heat are opposite. The opposition of yin and yang mainly embodies their mutual restriction and struggle. Later, yin and yang can keep in a state of balance, so the thing can exist. If the balance were broken, the thing cannot exist. The unity is an outcome of mutual opposition and restriction between yin and yang. It is only through this kind of opposition and restriction that the dynamic equilibrium can be established. The second relationship is interdependence and complementation. The 2 sides of yin and yang are not only opposite, but also interdependent. Neither of them can exist by its own without the other. For example, without lower, there will be no upper. Without left, there will be no right. There is no day without night, and vice versa. This relationship of coexistence is known as interdependence. Yes, the relationship of coexistence is known as interdependence. Take substance and functions as example. Yes, take substance and functions as example. The substance belongs to yin and the function belongs to yang. The function is the result of material motion, and nothing in the world is not in a state of motion. See, right? There is not any substance which can produce its function, and there is also not any function which doesn't originate from the motion of its substance. So the substance and function are interdependent and inseparable. Independence and complementation between yin and yang indicates that yin and yang depend on and root in each other, and yin and yang could generate, promote, and foster each other. The third relationship is waning and waxing. The 2 opposite and interdependent sides of yin and yang are not in a state of stillness, but is in a state of dynamic change, or in a state of yin wane with yang wax, and yang wane with yin wax. This dynamic change of wane and wax between yin and yang is called wane wax of yin and yang. The yin and yang are not stillness, but in a state of constant changes. They are in a state of relative balance. Yin and yang always exist in a dynamic equilibrium in which one waxes while the other wanes. In other words, yang waxing will lead to yin waning. Yin waning will lead to yang waxing. Take the 4 seasons for example. The climatic changes of the 4 seasons, such as winter to spring to summer. Winter to spring to summer changes gradually from cold to warm to hot, and is a process of yin wane with yang wax. Is it right? Conversely, it gets cool from summer to autumn, and cold from autumn to winter. This is the process known as yin waxing and yang waning. The fourth relationship is intertransformation. In given conditions, yin may transform into yang and yang into yin. In the waning waxing of yin and yang is said to be a process of quantitative change. The net of their intertransformation attains to a quantitative change based on a quantitative change. Such as process is mostly a gradually one from quantitative to quantitative change. Right? Su Wen, one of the classic series of Chinese medicine named Su Wen. Su Wen states, extreme yin gives rise to yang, while extreme yang gives rise to yin. This is termed things will develop in the opposite direction when they become extreme. Things will develop in the opposite direction when they become extreme. The above statement is also illustrated by Taiji yin-yang diagram. In the diagram, the white part indicates yang and the black part indicates yin. The relationship between the 2 are both opposite and complementary to each other. Right? The white spot within yin shows the yang within yin, while the black spot does yin within yang. Pay attention. This is a curve. Why is this not a straight line in the middle, but a curve? Why? It means that they are always in a state of dynamic balance. Is it right? Okay. Next, this is the 八卦 diagram. 八卦, yes, in TCM. Okay, next, we show the application of yin-yang theory in TCM. This part is very important, and you must master it. The theory is used to explain the tissues and structure of the human body, explain the physiological functions of the human body, explain the pathological changes of the human body, and serve as a guide to diagnosis and treatment. The first application, explaining the tissues and structure of the human body. The human body is an integrated whole. All its tissues and structures are organically collected and may be classified into two opposite aspects of yin-yang. In terms of the anatomical location, the upper part of the body is yang, and the lower part is yin. The exterior, such as skin and muscles exterior is yang, and the interior, such as organs belongs to yin. The back belongs yang, exposed to the sun, so it's yang, and abdomen is yin. Pay attention to the blood. Pay attention to the picture. The blood to yin and the qi to yang. When applying the concept of yin-yang to the substance of qi, vital energy, means vital energy, and the blood, 血 in Chinese, 血. In the human body, qi is yang because it performs a kinetic and functional role for the body, while the blood, 血, is more material and physical in its nature, so it belongs to yin. Concerning the 脏腑, the 5 zang organs are yin, while the 6 fu organs are yang. In TCM, 5 zang organs include heart, lung, liver, spleen, kidney. 6 fu organs include small intestine, large intestine, stomach, gallbladder, urinary bladder, and 三焦. Because their functions are different. The zang organs store but not discharge ancient qi. The fu organs transmit and transform food into ancient qi, but not store it. For this reason, 6 fu organs belongs to yang, zang organs belongs to yin. Furthermore, each of the zang or fu organs can be re-divided into yin and yang. For example, hali yin and hali yang, kili yang and kili yin. Yes. As concerns yin and yang of the meridian collateral system, there are 2 categories. Yin include yin meridian collateral system and yang meridians, yin collaterals and yang collaterals. All of them are opposite pairs. The meridian collateral system you will learn in the future lessons. Look at the program. Thus, look at the program. Yes, the chest abdomen belongs to yin, yes, back belongs to yang, body yin, head yang, organs yin, skin, muscle belong to yang, below waist yin, above waist yang, anterior medial yin, posterior lateral belong to yang, ventral surface of the trunk and limbs yin, back and dorsal surface of the limbs yang, structure yin, function yang, blood or body fluids yin, qi belong yang, and conservation or storage yin, transformation change yang, heart lung yin, liver, spleen, kidney, yes, 5 zang belongs to yin. 6 fu belong to yang, solid organs, yes, it's whole organs. Thus, in line with the yin-yang theory, the unity of opposites between yin and yang exists in the upper and the lower, in internal and exterior, yes, front and back parts of the human body, and within the internal organs as well. So all organs of the human body can be summarized and explained in terms of yin and yang. Furthermore, the second application is to explain the physiological functions of the human body. As we know, the normal life activity of the human body is an outcome of the relationship of yin and yang in their unity of opposites. Take the relationships between function and matter. For example, function activities belongs to yang, where the metabolism of matter belongs to yin. Physiological activities of the body are based on matter. Without matter, there would be no sustentation for functional activities. So function activities belong to yang, while metabolism of matter belongs to yin. Functional activities are the motive power of producing matter. Without functional activities, the metabolism of matter will not be performed. You see, right? So from the above, we know substance is the basis of the function. That in essence is the basis of yang qi. The motion of yang qi can of yang qi can produce the yin essence. Without substance, including the essence of life, blood, constructive energy, yes, and fluids, there will be no source of there is no source for function. Is it right? Without substance, yes, there will be no source of function. The substance including the essence of the life, blood, constructive energy, and fluids. Is it right? In this way, yin and yang within the human body is dependent on each other for existence. If yin and yang can't complement each other and become separated from each other, that will come to an end. This is why it is said in 黄帝内经, a famous lowest in TCM. 黄帝内经states the divorce of yin and yang means the end of one's life. The third application is to explain the pathological changes. The imbalance between yin and yang is one of the basic pathogenesis of a disease. The opposite of yin and yang mainly embodies their mutual restriction and struggle. Later, yin and yang can keep in a state of balance. Certain thing can exist. If the balance is broken, the thing cannot exist. The occurrence and development of a disease are related to both the vital qi and the pathogenic factors which occur in diseases are not complicated and changeable. If the relative balance of yin and yang is destroyed, there is bound to be excess or deficiency of yin yang, and a disease will arise. In summation, although the pathological changes which occur in disease are complicated and changeable, they can still be summarized as an essence or deficiency of yin and yang. Let's learn about the content together. To be more specific, excess of yin or yang. Yang excess leads to heat syndromes, while yin excess causes cold syndromes. How to explain it? The factors that cause disease can be divided into yin pathogenic factors. It means yin evils, and yang pathogenic factors. We call yang evils. An invading yang evil, such as wind heat, may lead to an essence of yang and injured the yin aspect of the body. This causes a heat syndrome to arise. This causes a heat syndrome to arise and depression of fluids. While an invading yin evil, such as wind cold, may lead to an essence of yin and injured the yang aspect of the body. Injured the yang part of the body. Yes, this causes cold syndrome and damp. This is causes cold syndromes and damp, which can manifest as water retention or edema. So pathogenic evils may be divided into yin and yang evils. The antipathogenic qi includes yin essence and yang qi. So you can say the invading yang evil, the invading yin evil can cause different symptoms. Deficiency of yin or yang. It means yang deficiency results in cold syndromes, while yin deficiency causes heat syndrome. How to explain it? The deficiency of yin fluids may lead to a different heat syndrome, and cause dryness in the body. Deficiency of yang qi may lead to a deficient cold syndrome and produce damp, water retention, and edema as well. If the deficient yin qi, you can't trap yang or yang hyperactive, so lead to a deficient heat syndrome. If the deficient yang qi, it can trap yin, means yin hyperactive, so you need to deficient cold syndrome. Yang deficiency affects yin, while yin deficiency affects yang. See, right? Look at the program. We have learned that yin and yang of the human body must be kept in balance. See, right? If yin and yang are in a state of excess or deficiency, the balance will be broken. The disease will occur. All pathological changes can be explained by an imbalance between yin and yang. If the body excess of yin, you will feel lead to full cold. Excess of yin is primary aspect. Yin is true excess. Can eventually cause deficiency of yang. If the yang excess, it may full heat. So excess of yang is primary aspect. Can eventually cause deficiency of yin. If the yin deficiency of yang, it means consumption of yang has deficiency of yang. So have empty cold. A decrease of yang energy is primary aspect. Yin only apparently in excess. But if the yin deficiency, yes, consumption of yin, yeah, so you have an empty heat of forced fire. Deficiency of yin is primary aspect. The yang only apparently in excess. The next application is serving as the guide to diagnose and treatment. Diseases are classified as exterior and interior according to their locations, and as cold heat deficiency and excess according to their nature. As a result, when using the theory of yin yang, exterior heat and excess are considered yang, exterior cold and deficiency are considered yin. In Chinese medicine, when making a diagnosis, the most important thing is to ascertain whether the disease is yin or yang. In differentiating syndromes, although there are the 8 principal syndromes, namely yin, yang, interior, exterior, cold, heat, efficiency, and excess. Yin and yang are regarded as the general principles among the 8 ones. In all diseases, no matter how changeable or intricate their clinical manifestations. In all diseases, no matter how changeable or intricate their clinical manifestation, they all can be summarized by yin and syndrome or yang syndrome. Bright complexion, loud and clear voice, fever, thirst, rapid pulse, large pulse, floating pulse. Yes, belong to yang. Brain to the complexion. Dark and gloomy complexion, low and weak voice, aversion to cold, no thirst, deep, slow pulse, and deep pulse or slow pulse belong to yin. The principal treatment is the regulation of yin yang in order to have a balance of yin yang. For example, in a case where yang heat is exuberant and injures yin fluids, it means excess yang injures yin. The method of cooling what is cold requires the use of the clinical substances that are cold in the nature to reduce the surplus of yang. Am I clear? In case where yang heat is yang preponderance, is right, and injures yin fluids. So you have excess heat syndrome, is right? Injures yin fluids. So the method of cooling what is hot. Cooling what is hot means it be treated with cold natural herbs to cool the heat. Cooling what is hot. For example, if high yang excess can be treated by Huan Lian, cooling what is hot. For a case of excessive yin-cold injuring the yang qi, yin brain preponderance, so injuring the yang qi, have excess cold syndrome, is right? And the method of heating what is cold. The method of heating what is cold. The method is be treated with hot natural herbs to heat cold. The method of heating what is cold requires the use of medicinal substances that are hot in nature. Yes, hot in nature, to restrain excessive yin, is right? Because both syndromes above are excessive syndromes. The therapeutic principle is called treating excess syndromes with the purgation. Treating excess syndromes with the purgation. For example, if you get a cold, that is yin preponderance, you can use allium or ginger to heating what is cold. Is right? To heating what is cold. And for a case of exuberance of yin due to depleted yang qi falling to control yin, the treatment must include reinforcing the deficiency of yang. The therapeutic treatment principles is treating yang for a yin illness. For a case of exuberance of yin depleted yang qi failing to control yin, the treatment must include reinforcing the deficiency of yang. Right? The therapeutic treatment principle is treating yang for a yin illness. For a case of hyperactive of yang due to yin influence failing to control yang, because yin deficiency, so have a deficiency heat syndrome, because the hyperactivity of yang due to influence failing to control yang. The treatment must include reinforcing the deficiency of yin, be treated with the drugs of nourishing yin and replacing influence so to restrict excessive yang. Right? Must include reinforcing the deficiency of yin, and the therapeutic treatment principle is treating yin for a yang illness. If you have, for example, if you have yin deficiency, you will have symptoms of yang hyperactivity. Yang hyperactivity, it means deficiency heat syndrome. You will have symptoms such as fear of heat, night sweats, dry mouth, red tongue, and less coating, etc. The person's tongue is very red and there is a little coating. Yes, there's a little coating. Red tongue and less coating means yin deficiency. So you can use the herbs that nourishes yin, because yin deficiency used to nourish yin. Such as 玉竹, herbs, 玉竹, dandruff, and principal ginger, Prince ginseng, nourishes yin. They have the effect of nourishes yin. They are effective for treating deficiency heat syndrome. Here are some common examples in life. If you cough and the phlegm is white, you can get a decoction of ginger, garlic, and radish. If you have runny nose with white snot, you can have the decoction of pepper and onion. You see, right? If your cough and the phlegm is white, you can get a decoction of ginger, garlic, and radish. Yes. If your cough and the phlegm is yellow, you can get a decoction of pepper soap stirred with proteinuria. If you have any gnarly loads when the wine load, you can get a decoction of pepper and onion. If you have the yellow snot, you can drain the water of lemon and onion. Okay. While studying this lesson, you have to know how to explain it. Is it right? Why do some people wear cotton coats in summer? Because we wear cotton clothes in summer because they are yang deficiency, right? We wear short sleeves in winter because they are yang excess. This is because of the imbalance of imbalance between yin and yang. Okay. So I wish everyone keep the balance between yin and yang. This is the focus of this lesson. Okay. Thank you.